Everyone in the alien base knew what it meant when a soldier was sent into the green death zone. No one came back. It was a quiet way to remove someone without using a bullet. This time, the one being sent was a human. His name was Dane Carter. A tall man with scars on his arms, quiet eyes, and a calm voice that rarely raised. He had arrived on the alien planet Zareth 2 weeks ago. Part of a peace exchange, but he wasn't trusted. He wasn't welcome. He was different, and the aliens didn't like different. So, they gave him a mission. Human, said General Krav, his scaled face showing no emotion. You are the only one brave enough for this task. The other? Alien soldiers tried not to laugh. Dane didn't react. He looked at the screen that showed the dark jungle area where something big moved in the trees. What's the objective? He asked to gather intel from a crashed probe deep inside. The general replied, but beware. A creature lives there. It's killed many of our warriors. Dane nodded once. When do I leave? Now, the general smiled. Good. Luck human, the metal doors behind him opened. And 2 guards handed him a survival pack, a shock rifle, and a small drone. As Dane walked out, the guards whispered, dead by sunset. The alien base had cameras all over the jungle zone. Day watched as Dane walked through the tall grass, his boots crunching the thick roots underfoot. The sky was red above, and strange bird-like creatures flew overhead. The jungle felt alive. Every tree seemed to move. Every vine breathed. Every shadow hid eyes. Dane didn't panic. He walked calmly. Letting his senses guide him, he had fought wild beasts back on Earth, grizzly bears, jungle panthers, even mutated wolves in the wastelands. But this place, this was something else. Something was watching him. And it wasn't afraid. 2 hours in, Dane reached the first marker, half-destroyed drone, half buried in mud. Claw marks covered the shell. Burns from plasma weapons and blood. Alien blood. He scanned the drone with his wrist scanner, then kept moving deeper into the zone. Back at the base, the aliens watched in silence. He won't reach the probe. One alien whispered, the beast gets hungrier at sunset. They were wrong. Dane reached the probe site in less than 3 hours. It lay cracked open, its metal bones twisted like a skeleton. That's when he saw it. The beast, massive, dark, with glowing red veins running across its skin like lava. 4 golden eyes stared at him through the trees. The air grew cold, even though the jungle was hot. The beast stepped forward, its head larger than Dane's entire body. It didn't growl, it just watched. Dane didn't raise his weapon. Instead, he reached into his pack, took out a sealed ration bar, opened it, and tossed it gently toward the creature. It hit the ground near the beast's feet. Silence. Then, the beast stepped closer, sniffed it, and ate it. Slowly, Dane sat down, his back against a rock. Watching calmly, he reached into his pack again, pulled out another ration, and tossed it closer. The beast didn't move this time. It was already watching him, the drone IM. The sky caught everything, transmitting it back to the alien base. The general leaned forward, confused. Why isn't it attacking him? He asked. No one had an answer. Back in the jungle, Dane slowly stood, kept his hands visible. I began speaking softly. I'm not your enemy, he said. I didn't come to hurt you. The beast tilted its head slightly. It took one slow step closer. Dane didn't flinch. Then, with a heavy breath, the beast sat down. Dane smiled slightly. He lowered his weapon to the ground, then pulled out a small water capsule and rolled it toward the creature. The beast looked down, sniffed it, and then swallowed it whole. From above, the drone flickered, then lost signal back at the alien base. The screen went black. The general cursed. He's dead, one soldier said, shaking his head. No, said the younger technician. That beast. It didn't attack. General Krav turned to him sharply. Are you saying the human tamed the beast? Sir, the technician replied. I think the beast accepted him. The jungle was thick and dark, with strange sounds all around. The air was heavy and full of wet leaves. Dane Carter sat quietly, not far from the broken probe. The beast, called Vergul by the aliens, watched him closely. Its 4 golden eyes never left Dane. It was huge, bigger than any animal Dane had ever seen, but it did not move to attack. Dane knew he could not run or fight this creature. His best chance was to earn its trust. He took a deep breath and spoke softly. I'm not here to hurt you, he said. His voice was calm, steady, like he was talking to an old friend. Vergul tilted its massive head, listening. The human slowly reached into his pack. He pulled out a piece of dried meat and placed it on the ground between them. Vergul sniffed the meat, then slowly ate it. Dane smiled. Feeling a small victory, he kept still, knowing any sudden move could scare the beast away. Hours passed as Dane sat quietly. The jungle noises faded into the background. Vergul stayed near him, sometimes shifting its heavy body, sometimes just watching. Dane used the time to study the beast. Its skin was rough and scarred, with strange marks that looked like wounds. Something told Dane the beast was hurt many times before. He wondered who had done this to it. Night came quickly on planet Zareth. The red sky darkened and cold wind blew through the trees. Dane knew the beast grew more dangerous at night, but it did not attack. Instead, Vergul lowered its head and lay down beside him. Dane felt the ground shake slightly from its weight. He reached out a hand and touched the beast's rough skin. It did not move away. Instead, it closed its eyes. Trusting the human, back at the alien base, the cameras lost signal as the drones stopped sending images. The alien council believed Dane was dead. They whispered among themselves, mocking the human's bravery and foolishness. Vergul will finish him, said one alien. With sharp teeth, but what if he is still alive? Asked a younger officer nervously. No chance, another replied. The jungle eats him whole. Meanwhile, Dane knew he could not stay in the jungle forever. He needed to find the crashed probe and get the information for his people. The next morning, he woke to the sound of strange bird calls. Vergul was already awake, watching him carefully. Dane slowly stood up. The beast rose too, towering over him, but not threatening. Together, they moved through the jungle. Dane led the way carefully, and Vergul followed silently. The bond between them was growing stronger. Dane spoke softly to the beast. We will be friends, he said. Vergul seemed to understand. When they reached the probe site again, Dane began to work quickly. He used tools to open the broken metal shell. Inside, he found a small data core, still warm with energy. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed through the jungle. Dane looked up and saw a group of alien hunters approaching. They had come to kill Vergul and Dane. The hunters carried plasma rifles and knives, ready to attack. Dane quickly held up his hands, signaling Vergul to stay calm. The beast growled low, but did not charge. The hunters laughed and called Dane a weak human. They aimed their weapons at Vergul. Dane shouted, "Wait! Don't shoot." He stepped between the hunters and the beast. Vergul is not a monster, he said firmly. He is hurt and scared, like you and me. The hunters hesitated, unsure what to do. One of the hunters raised his rifle and fired. A warning shot near Vergul's feet. The beast growled louder and took a step forward. Dane shouted, "No," and grabbed the hunter's arm, stopping the weapon. He looked into the hunter's eyes and said, "If you want to kill something, kill me, but leave Vergul alone." The jungle fell silent. Only the wind moved the leaves. The hunters slowly lowered their weapons, surprised by Dane's courage. Vergul sat down, calm again. Dane turned to the hunters and said, "There is more to this beast than you know." He told them about the scars and the pain Vergul had from their experiments. The hunters looked ashamed. Lowering their heads, Dane took the data core and prepared to leave. Vergul followed close behind. The jungle seemed less dangerous. Now, Dane smiled for the first time since the mission started. He knew this was only the beginning of something greater, back at the alien base. The screen flickered on. The council gasped as they saw Dane and Vergul walking together. Their faces showed shock, fear, and anger. The human had not died, and he had tamed the beast. After the strange silence in the jungle, the alien base was full of nervous energy. No one spoke loudly, but everyone watched the screens. For hours, there was no sign of Dane or the beast. The cameras showed only the empty trees and thick fog. The alien soldiers whispered to each other. "He's dead," said one with a sharp voice. "No one can live in that zone," said another, shaking his head. But the young technician, who had seen the beast accept Dane's food, kept staring at the screen. Suddenly, the motion sensors beeped loudly. Breaking the silence, a slow figure appeared on the monitor. Walking steadily through the jungle, it was Dane, but he was not alone. Behind him walked a massive shape, heavy steps making the ground tremble. The alien council gasped in surprise. "Is that Vergul?" One of the elders asked, eyes wide with fear. The younger soldiers exchanged nervous glances. For the first time, the aliens felt unsure. Dane moved slowly, carrying the data core tightly in his hand. Vergul walked just behind him, its huge body moving with surprising grace. The beast's golden eyes scanned the base cameras as if it knew it was being watched. Inside the control room, General Krav leaned forward. Tension clear on his face. "Prepare the guards," he ordered. "We do not know what the human plans." The guards loaded plasma rifles and moved to the main entrance, ready to stop Dane and the beast back in the jungle. Dane and Vergul moved through the thick trees toward the border of the death zone. Dane's mind was full of thoughts. He thought about how the beast had not attacked him, how it had accepted his presence like a friend. He touched Vergul's rough skin gently, whispering, "We are safe now." Vergul responded with a low rumble that sounded almost like a growl of trust. As they walked, Dane noticed the beast's scars more closely. Deep cuts and burn marks told a story of pain and suffering. Dane promised himself he would find out who had hurt Vergul, and he would make them pay at the edge of the death zone. The jungle opened into a wide valley. The alien guards waited with their weapons raised. Dane stopped and faced them, his voice calm but strong. "I come in peace," he said, "and I bring a message." Vergul stood behind him, silent but alert. The guards did not lower their weapons. One of the soldiers stepped forward and asked, "What message does a dead man bring?" Dane smiled faintly. "I am very much alive," he said, "and this creature is not a monster." The guards exchanged confused looks. One of them asked, "Why should we believe a human who returned with a beast that killed our warriors?" Dane took a step forward. "Because I have seen the truth," he said. "The beast was never the enemy." The beast growled softly, a sound full of power and warning. Dane raised his hand. "It was hurt, scared, and trapped by your own people," he said. "And I am here to stop that cruelty." The soldiers whispered among themselves, some lowering their rifles slowly. Suddenly, a loud alarm rang through the base. "Intruders detected," the system announced. The guards tensed, looking around nervously. But Dane stayed calm. "I do not want to fight," he said. "But if you force me, I will defend myself and this beast." At that moment, a group of alien hunters appeared from the shadows. They carried sharp weapons and looked ready to kill. Dane quickly moved in front of Vergul, shielding it. The hunter sneered. "You brought this creature back. You want to die." Dane stood tall. "No," he said, "but I will stop you from hurting him again." The hunters charged forward, but Vergul roared loudly. The sound shook the ground and made the hunters freeze, with one massive swipe of its claw. Vergul knocked a hunter to the ground. The others stopped, staring in fear. Dane shouted, "Stop, there is no need for blood." He looked at the hunters and said, "The beast is hurt, like all of us have been hurt." He told them about the experiments and cages, about the pain Vergul had suffered. The hunters lowered their weapons slowly. Realizing their mistake, one of them whispered, "We have been wrong to hunt him." Dane nodded. "We must change," he said, "or more will die." The beast sat quietly, watching the hunters with tired eyes. The jungle was still again, but this time, it felt different. Dane knew the hardest part was yet to come. He would have to face the Alien Council and prove that Vergul was not a monster. Back in the control room, the council argued loudly. "Let the human and his beast enter," said one elder. "We must see what he has learned." General Krav scowled. "He is a threat," he said. "We will watch carefully," as Dane and Vergul walked into the alien city. Their footsteps echoed loudly. The faces of the aliens were full of shock and fear. No one expected the human to return alive, and no one expected the beast to walk beside him. Dane felt their eyes on him, but he did not look away. He was ready to face whatever came next. The city gates opened slowly. Dane Carter walked inside. His steps steady and sure. Behind him, the giant beast Vergul followed silently. The crowd of aliens stared in shock and fear. Many stepped back, afraid of the huge creature that moved with calm strength. Whispers spread fast. "The human is alive." Someone said, "The beast is with him." Another whispered. Some aliens looked angry, others confused. No one knew what to think. Dane did not care about their looks. He focused on the path ahead. He carried the data core from the crashed probe tightly in his hand. This core held secrets that could change everything in the Grand Hall of the Alien Council. The elders waited. Their faces were cold and hard. General Krav stood beside them, his eyes filled with doubt and anger. How did he survive? The general asked, voice low. How did he tame that beast? Dane stepped forward. He raised his voice so everyone could hear. "I come with truth," he said. "The beast you call Vergul is not a monster," the council murmured. Some laughed, others shook their heads. One elder said, "It killed our best warriors." Dane nodded. "Because it was hurt and angry." He replied, "Because you heard it first." He told them about the scars, the cages, the pain, how Vergul was locked and tortured by their own scientists, how it had no choice but to fight back. The council was silent, their eyes wide. Some looked ashamed, others angry. Then Dane said something that made the room colder. "I brought Vergul here not to fight, but to remind Uniture will not be controlled by cruelty." He looked at the beast beside him. "He is my friend and protector now." A young alien soldier stepped forward, voice shaking. "My brother died by Vergul's claw." He said, "Why should I trust this human?" Dane met his eyes. "Because I am here, alive," he said. "Because I risked my life to stop the hate." Suddenly, a loud noise broke the silence. Some guards raised their weapons, ready to attack. But Dane raised his hand and said, "Wait." Vergul moved closer to Dane and sat calmly. The beast growled low, warning anyone who might try to harm them. The council leader, an old alien with silver eyes, spoke slowly. "You walk with death at your side," he said. "Are you not afraid?" Dane smiled faintly. "I was sent here to die," he said, "but I returned stronger with a friend who never gave up on me." The room grew quiet again. No one moved, no one spoke. Outside, the crowd began to cheer. Some aliens who once feared Vergul now saw him as a symbol of hope. A few children ran to the gates, shouting the human's name. Dane looked at the faces around him. He saw fear, respect, and hope, all mixed together. He knew this was just the beginning. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the building. The walls trembled. Dust falling from the ceiling. Guards shouted, "Attack!" A group of alien rebels had launched a surprise strike. They hated Dane and Vergul. They believed the beast was a danger that must be destroyed. Dane and Vergul moved quickly. Side by side, the beast roared loudly, shaking the ground. The rebels fired weapons. But the roar stopped them in their tracks. Vergul charged, knocking down barriers and enemies. Dane ran beside him, firing his rifle carefully. Together, they fought like one, unstoppable. The rebels retreated, defeated. The council was safe, but shaken. After the battle, Dane turned to the council. "This beast is not just my pet," he said. "He is the future proof that peace is possible, even with the fiercest enemies." General Krav looked at Dane with new respect. "You have changed everything," he said quietly. Dane nodded. "But the real work begins now," he said. "We must heal the wounds of this planet, of its creatures and its people." Vergul lowered his head, touching Dane's hand gently. It was a moment of trust and friendship. The crowd outside cheered louder. A new chapter was beginning. One where humans and aliens could stand together, not as enemies, but as allies. The Grand Hall was still after the fight, but the air was heavy with tension. Dane Carter stood before the alien council, his eyes calm but serious. Vergul sat quietly beside him, its powerful body relaxed but alert. The council members exchanged worried glances. They did not want to hear the truth Dane was about to tell. But they could not ignore it either. Dane began, "You sent me to die because you feared what you did not understand." He paused, looking around at the faces before him. "This beast, Vergul, has suffered because of your cruelty," he said. Voice steady, he lifted his hand and showed the scars on the beast's skin. "These wounds are not from battle alone," Dane said. "They are from your cages and experiments." A young council member whispered, "We only wanted to protect our people." Dane shook his head. "Protection through pain is not protection," he replied. "The beast was trapped, scared, and hurt, and so it fought back." He stepped closer to Vergul and gently touched one scarred spot. "I saw the cages hidden deep in the jungle," Dane said. "The chains that broke, the blood." Left behind, the council was silent, many looking down in shame. One elder spoke slowly. "We believed the beast was a threat to all." Dane nodded. "Yes, but you made it that way, suddenly." One soldier in the room stood up, anger in his eyes. "You speak like you know everything," he said. "But Vergul killed my brother in cold blood." Dane met his gaze. "I know," he said softly, "and I understand your pain. But killing without reason is the result of years of pain and fear." He looked around the room. "We must stop this cycle of hate." The soldier clenched his fists but did not speak again. Dane continued, "I risked my life not to kill Vergul, but to show him kindness. The beast trusted me because I showed respect. Can you say the same for your actions?" The council's leader, an old alien with silver eyes, sighed deeply. "You bring shame to our people," he said, voice low, but perhaps also truth. Dane bowed his head slightly. "I do not come to judge, only to help. Help us heal," he said. "Not only the beast, but your hearts too, outside the hall." A group of soldiers whispered angrily. Some wanted to kill Dane and Vergul. Others feared what this friendship meant for their future. Dane knew the road ahead would be hard. He looked at the beast beside him, who gave a low, encouraging rumble. Together, they were stronger than hate. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the city. "Sabotage!" shouted a guard, running into the hall. A group of rebels had destroyed a research lab where prisoners were kept. The lab was a secret place where cruel experiments were done. Dane's eyes narrowed. "This is what I feared," he said. The council members looked worried. One of the elders said, "We must find those responsible." Dane turned to the guards. "And stop these experiments. We cannot allow this cruelty to continue." The soldiers nodded, ready to act that night. Dane and Vergul walked through the city streets. Dane saw the fear and anger in the eyes of the people, but also hope. He spoke softly to the beast. "This world needs change." Vergul growled softly in agreement. The next day, Dane called for a meeting with the council and leaders of the city. He showed them the data core from the probe. It contained proof of the experiments, videos of cages, chains, and creatures. In pain, the council gasped, unable to deny the evidence. One council member said, "We were blinded by fear and power." Dane nodded. "It is time to open your eyes." He proposed new laws to protect all living beings, to end the cruel tests, to build trust between humans, aliens, and creatures like Vergul. Some council members agreed, others resisted. The fight for change was just beginning. Dane looked at Vargal and said, "We will face many enemies, but we will stand together." The beast let out a low, powerful roar that echoed through the hall. The faces of the council changed, some with fear, others with respect. Dane's courage and the beast's loyalty had started a new hope. The sun was low in the red sky as Dane Carter stood at the edge of the alien city. Vergul sat quietly beside him, its massive form casting a long shadow. The city streets were busy with whispers of what had happened. Everyone talked about the human who returned with the beast as his friend. Some were afraid, others were curious, but all knew that nothing would be the same again. Dane had been given a new rank ambassador, but he knew it was not just an honor. It was a challenge, a trap. The council wanted to watch him closely, to see if he would fail, if the beast would turn on him, or if he would bring chaos. That night, Dane sat in his quarters. His mind was heavy. He thought about the battles fought and the battles yet to come. He looked at Vargal, resting by the door. The beast's breathing was deep and steady. It was tired, but ready to protect. Suddenly, alarms blared through the city. Lights flashed red. Dane grabbed his rifle and ran outside. The streets were filled with guards rushing to the east. "Gate, attack!" shouted a commander. "They come for Vergul and Dane." From the shadows, a group of alien assassins appeared. Silent, fast, and deadly. They wanted to kill Dane and the beast before the council could stop them. Vergul rose slowly, its eyes glowing brighter in the dark. It let out a low growl that shook the ground. Dane moved beside the beast, ready to fight. The assassins charged, but Vergul was faster, with a powerful swipe. It knocked down 2 attackers. Dane fired carefully, disabling others. The battle was fierce, but short. The assassins were defeated, but the message was clear. Enemies were close. They did not want Dane or Vergul to survive after the fight. Dane looked at the beast. "You saved me again," he said softly. Vergul growled low. Almost like a reply, the council called an emergency meeting. General Krav spoke first. "We underestimated you, human. You and that monster have changed the balance here." Dane stood tall. "We changed because we had to," he said. "We cannot keep living with fear and hatred." The council was divided. Some wanted to support Dane's new rules, protecting all creatures. Others wanted to return to old ways, to control and fear the unknown. Dane knew his power was growing, not just because of his rank, but because of Vergul. The beast that had once been a prisoner was now his protector, his friend, his weapon. One day, as Dane walked through the city with Vergul, children followed them, curious and excited. They touched the beast's rough skin, laughing and shouting. Dane smiled. This was a sign that fear could turn into hope, but danger was never far. Whispers of rebellion spread. Secret groups planned to capture Vergul again, to use him as a weapon or to kill him. Dane prepared for the worst. He trained guards too. Protect the city and the beast. He met with leaders to build peace. But he also stayed ready for war. One evening, a messenger arrived with urgent news. Vergul's old cage has been found, the messenger said. A secret lab outside the city still holds creatures in pain. Dane's eyes darkened. This must end, he said. We will free them all, with Vergul by his side. Dane led a team to the secret lab. They found cages broken, but creatures. Weak and scared, Vergul moved among them calmly. Some creatures reached out to him, sensing safety. Dane destroyed the cages and freed the prisoners. He carried those too weak to walk. His heart heavy with the pain he saw, but full of hope for a new beginning. Back in the city, Dane addressed the people. We cannot forget those still trapped. In darkness, he said, we must build a world where no creature lives in fear. Vergul sat proudly beside him, a symbol of strength, mercy, and change. The faces in the crowd were full of tears and smiles. The journey was far from over, but together, human and beast would face whatever came, the aliens who once sent. Dane to die now looked at him differently. They saw a leader who commanded not only respect, but also love. And the beast by his side was no longer a monster, but a guardian of hope. The grand hall was filled with silence. Every eye was on Dane, Carter, and Vergul as they entered together. The massive beast moved calmly beside the human, its golden eyes scanning the room with quiet power. The aliens who had once sent Dane to die now stood frozen in shock and fear. The council members stared, their faces pale. The same leaders who had laughed at the humans' mission now faced a new truth. Dane's steady voice broke the silence. You sent me to the death zone. Expecting me to fail, he said, but I returned with a friend. The room held its breath. Dane continued. This beast was not a monster, but a victim. He told the council about the pain Vergul had suffered, the cages, the experiments, the betrayal by their own people. The elders shifted uncomfortably. Unable to deny the facts, suddenly, one of the council members spoke, voice trembling. Why should we trust a human who brings a beast to our home? Dane smiled faintly. Because I am alive, he said. Because I risked everything to change hate into hope. Vergul stepped forward slightly. Its presence filled the room with strength and calm. The alien leaders looked at the beast and then at Dane. They realized the power of what stood before them. Outside the hall, the citizens gathered, watching through windows and screens. They cheered softly, hope growing in their hearts. The human and the beast were no longer enemies. They were symbols of change. Back inside, Dane made one last promise. I offer peace and friendship, he said, to all who are willing. The council leader slowly nodded. Your courage and truth have opened our eyes, he said. But the path ahead is difficult, Dane agreed. Together, we will face the challenges, he said, with respect and kindness, as Dane and Vergul left the hall. The council members looked at each other. The fear in their eyes was real, but so was the hope. The streets outside were filled with cheers and laughter. Children played near Vergul's massive feet. Aliens and humans shared stories and smiles. Dane looked at the crowd and then at the beast beside him. We did this together, he said softly. Vergul growled happily. The bond between them was unbreakable. That night, Dane stood on a balcony overlooking the city. He thought about the journey from being sent to die to becoming a symbol of peace and power. He knew the road was still long. There would be enemies and hard choices, but he was not alone. Vergul stood beside him, watching the stars. A guardian, a friend, a reminder of hope. The alien faces who once doubted him would never forget the day the human returned with the beast as his pet. The day fear turned to respect. the day the impossible became real, and the look on their faces was priceless.